What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name's Greg. Hey, before we get started today, I wanted to tell you guys about an app called GetUpside. It's a really awesome app for saving money on your gas. The first time you fill up, you get 25 cents per gallon. And every time you refer someone, you get, I think, like 1 or 2 cents off per gallon, like permanently. There's people that have actually done this so well that they don't ever pay for gas because they've referred so many people. So I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. Refer 10 of your friends and you're getting 10 cents off per gallon. Combine that with your Uber and Lyft gas rewards, and depending on what level you're at, you could be consistently getting 20 cents off per gallon, which is a huge amount of savings, especially if you look at that at the end of the year. That's good money. What I'm doing for you guys today is a video on essentially why Uber hasn't profited. For those of you that don't know, Uber and Lyft have never really turned a profit. Now, let's be honest on what that really means. These are mega big companies. It's not like they're gonna go bankrupt anytime soon, because someone's gonna continually invest in a company like that. You know, they understand the potential's there. So these companies are going to keep going. I don't mean for this video to really scare you, but this is actually incredibly shocking. I wasn't too aware of this personally until I really looked into it myself, but really neither company has turned a profit. So I'm just going to go over Uber today, but I'm going to go over basically rough numbers on the money they've made, just to kind of show you guys what it looks like. And I don't know, it's just alarming. I really would have thought they would have made so much money, and it is just weird to see. So I'm not going to go over their first quarter earnings, because those have a lot of from what I was seeing online about financial stuff, your first quarter startups, there's a lot of divestments and one-time investments and type of things like that from other investors and stuff that just kind of make it a really hard number to really interpret, right? So we're gonna start at quarter two. So they had upwards of 891 million in losses. So right from the get-go, they had a huge amount in losses, and that was from lawsuits and just different things like that. And in quarter two, they had 12 billion in profit. Now, 8.2 billion of that went to us. Now, I thought that was interesting because, again, if you've watched my videos before, you know, I harp a lot on, they're both companies are focusing on automation. They want fleets of self-driving cars to replace us. Here's why they want to do that: because 8.2 billion is going to us. Imagine if they're able to somehow figure out how to keep that. Now, obviously, they wouldn't be keeping all of that, but they'd probably still be able to keep a large amount of that if they got rid of the drivers, you know? So it's another reason I always say, hey, be prepared. Stuff is going to happen. This is the direction they're going. So 12 billion in profit, 8.2 billion of it goes to us. They paid out 142 million in promotions, 427 million in incentives. I love them incentives. They paid 411 million in taxes, 27 million on refunds. That's not shocking. I'm honestly surprised that number wasn't even higher. So basically, when all that's said, they have about 2.8 billion left over. So their cost of revenue was 1.3 billion, so now they're down to 1.5 left, and they still have to pay for operating costs. Guess what their operating costs were? 2.2 billion in operating costs, so they had negative 700 million total at the end of quarter two. So now a lot of people have told me you don't really have to worry about these numbers. I do, because I do and I don't. It's like I said at the beginning of the video, they're a big enough company, they're gonna figure it out, you know. And whether it's getting an investor to buy a fleet of robot cars for them, or I mean, just continually cutting rates. There's a lot of like, this really should be like a concern to us, because the number one thing I would say we're headed towards is another rate cut. And it sounds crazy. I think most of us are down to like 60 cents per mile, or is it 75? I honestly can't remember. I don't really check it all that often. But that being said, I mean, we've been like, the rates have been cut just substantially, and I would say that another rate cut is coming. And the other interesting piece of data I found was that, like, most of us watching this video, at least me, I've always believed that Uber and Lyft both keep 25%. There was a study done by a few different companies, and they just collected a bunch of our earnings. I took part in 2 of these studies. I sent them like 5 weeks of earnings, I believe, is something along those lines. And so they could estimate my earnings, because there's a lot, I've had a lot of days that were fishy. Like, I've had a lot of days where I looked back at certain rides and I'm like, wait, this just doesn't add up. But again, what are you going to do? You can email them, and all they're going to tell you is, hey, well, actually, according to our records, you got paid the amount you earned. So the reason why I bring this up is because there's been multiple scenarios that have happened to me personally, and I know a lot of other drivers that have claimed this has happened to, but we have no real way of proving it. I've had rides where I've looked back and I've done the math in my head, and they didn't take 25%, they took like 40. And it was a surge ride, and I emailed them about it, and apparently it was some surge rule they implemented where they get more of the like wait time money from surge. I know a guy that was telling me he one time gave a surge ride, and he had to take the passengers to like some fast food joint, right? And the ride total was like $70, and he made $15 from it. So like, obviously that's not 25%. I know I've experienced this a lot with Lyft too, especially since they got rid of their surge rates. I've had multiple times where I didn't realize I was even giving a surge ride. Like, I gave a ride that was basically the surge bonus, but the customer got charged for all of it and I didn't get any of it. I've seen that happen multiple times. So I emailed my earnings in, a collection of them, and what came back from this test, which was over 14,000 drivers, so not like a crazy amount, but enough to get a pretty good idea. Lyft was taking 35% and Uber was taking like 30, yeah, I think it was 30 even. And so that was essentially 6% and 8% higher than what they're reporting publicly. So they're reporting publicly, I believe Uber reports that they take 24 and Lyft, I think 26 or something like that. And so obviously both those like numbers are like definitely inflated, Another thing I've noticed that I feel like impacts this is I've had so many times where people would be like, hey, I'm not even messing with you, brother. I'm going to hook you up in the app. You got a $30 tip coming your way. You got a $40 tip coming your way. And then when I go and look for it, it's not there. Now, hypothetically, they could be BSing me. But I had one lady one time right in front of me. She showed me that she was giving me a $10 tip. I saw it on the app. I watched her click submit or whatever you click there. I didn't see what happened next, but like I saw it, like I really took care of her though. I waited an extra 30 minutes for her friend at the airport, and then I waited for him at Target. So she was like really wanting to take care of me for doing all that. So she's throwing me an extra $10. And which, looking back at it, I'm like, damn, that wasn't a good deal. But it never showed up in the app, and I emailed Uber about it, and they said, oh, well, what probably happened was, and I told them in the email, like, I watched her give me this tip, I want my money. And they emailed me back and they said, well, what probably happened is she didn't have enough money in her bank account. And again, hypothetically, that could be completely true. But I just these were like 3 businesswomen. They were dressed very, very nice. And obviously I shouldn't try and guess their level of income and what they have saved up in the bank based off like their lifestyle and what they're wearing. But like, then they go to Target, they come out with like 10 bottles of wine. And I'm like, I'm really just not buying that she's out here blowing money like that and her account isn't letting the Uber ride process because she didn't have enough money to tip $10. I just don't buy that. So a lot of these things have happened to me multiple times, and it's just kind of led me to believe more and more that at least here and there, something is being withheld from us. Like I said, I really have no concrete proof, and most drivers don't, because again, like, you're so limited on what you can do. You can take, you know, a screenshot of that earnings, of that pay that wasn't right in your mind. You can send it to them, and all they're going to do is tell you, well, according to our system, this is actually accurate, and they're going to give you some BS reason on why it is. All these things are going to keep happening, and I think they're going to keep happening even more and more, because like, these companies aren't profiting. Like, they're not doing well. We're not working for companies that are doing really, really well. You know, they're struggling, and they're struggling bad. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, be sure to check out that referral link to get the good deal on gas. I will let you guys go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, and I will talk to you guys soon.